How are you, Beth?
You're welcome.
I should save these minutes because it's my first meeting ever.
Frame it.
Yeah.
They're online.
That's not the same. You can't touch those.
Did you get your little certificate?
Yeah, I think I did.
From the county?
Oh, from
Yeah.
the county, yeah.
That's what you should save. Hang it up in your
That's the important thing.
workshop up
Bathroom.
No.
Getting started. They push the start button.
Oh, is that what that means?
I just got notification.
You recorded too?
No, but I get, every time we go live, I get a notification.
Oh.
So I know
only
that
have
we're
one
live right
roll
now.
call for vouchers. Is that what you've got?
Probably. It's just their YouTubes.
YouTube? Me too, YouTube, we all too.
Great.
Does any one of us here have a paid subscription to YouTube?
Nope.
I see they're selling subscriptions to
I did for a
YouTube
little
Plus
bit.
or whatever.
YouTube TV.
Yeah.
I have YouTube TV instead of cable.
Oh, you do?
I'm through WOW and I have YouTube.
Well, I have
I don't have traditional cable as well apparently.
I have WOW, and a friend of mine sells like streaming TV for it's $20 a month. You have to pay 6 months, and $120 for 6 months. But there's no contract or anything, and it's like 2,500 channels.
I pay more than $20.
Yeah, it's $20 a month, and no fee or anything. He got like 900 subscribers.
Sounds semi-legal.
It's called
Semi-legal.
VIX Pix,
Never heard of that.
VIX-PIX. My VIX Pix.
All right, well, before we advertise for some Russian scheme over
Yeah.
let's call the meeting to order. I'd encourage my colleagues to make sure your phones are off and your microphones are on.
Ooh, that's the first time you've said that. That's a good thing.
New year, new me, right?
Good thing.
Don't expect anything else new. Happy New Year, everyone, and go Lions. It's the Bath Charter Township Board meeting for Monday, January 6th, our first of the new year. We'll start with a call to order, which we've done, and we'll go on to the roll call.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
I'm here.
Ms. Butler Cheelander here. Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Hagerman?
Here.
Ms. Kellerman?
Here.
Mr. Kotke?
Here.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Here.
Thank you.
Yeah, these things have been well tuned today. Next up is a civic reflection. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance and end with a moment of silence. So please stand if you are able to join us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now a moment of silence. Thank you. If you are following along in your agenda, we are on number 3. If you're in the audience and you'd like an agenda, there's copies up on the lectern. Help yourself. I have not heard any changes to the agenda or needs to change the agenda. Sherry?
Just a very brief thing of complaints. I'd like to talk about the audiovisual for some things I've heard from people, and that we need to speak into our mics closer.
You want to do that at this meeting?
Yeah, just a brief.
So maybe unfinished business discussion?
Sure.
So 13A, sound okay to everyone?
That's fine.
We'll call audio visual. Issue? I don't know what else to call it.
Audiovisual equipment.
Yeah. So it's like big A, sub, small a.
Yep.
Okay.
And then I would like to remove, under 7A, H, and I, the minutes of the Recreation Advisory Committee. They are not signed by who printed them, who typed them up and submitted them.
Okay. So 2 changes. Any other changes proposed? Karen, anything from you? Okay. Do you all want to take those separately? Do you want to approve with all of the changes? Do you want to approve with none of the changes?
All of the changes.
I would entertain a motion to that effect.
I'll make that motion to accept the agenda as amended.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Everyone understands we're accepting with all three of those changes. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll take a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We have an agenda. Are there any disclosures of conflict of interest tonight? All right, hearing none, we will go to number 5, which is public statement 1. For those in the audience who would like to make a statement on anything on the agenda items tonight, you'll have up to 3 minutes to do so. There will be a second opportunity for public statement at the end of the meeting for an additional 3 minutes to address the board on any topic under the sun you would like to speak on.
Judy Gardy,
Judy.
Senior Services Advisory Board, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
We would like to ask you to support the parking study for the senior center. Our architect for the senior center expansion told me last week that he expects professional services of that nature to cost between $750 and $1,500. Our first potential grant application would be to the Capital Region Community Foundation. They've reached out to us and are very interested in our work and coming and seeing what we have been able to accomplish with the expansion of the kitchen. And that is due on April 1st. So there is some urgency. It's hard to apply for a grant if when we get the application done and get the money, we find out that there isn't enough parking to do what we want to do. So I would encourage you to support that. Also, I'd like to thank Sherry for her 2 years of service as our board representative on the Senior Services Advisory Board. She's learned a lot in those 2 years, and I sure hope she can continue to work with us.
Thank you, Judy.
Thanks, Judy. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak to the board? All right, seeing none, we'll keep moving along. Items from county, state, federal, or other agencies. Did I see our library director here? Do you want to address us during this segment, or are you just here for the fun of it?
I'll address you guys back.
Come on up, yeah. Welcome, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, I hope you can, okay.
I just got a text from Taylor too.
It's not working.
Okay, cool. So, happy to be here and have a happy new year. Just thought I'd give a few updates from the library. So this month we are starting our winter reading, which anyone can join. It's for kids, teens, and adults. We have different reading levels for people to sign up for, and there's some pretty cool prizes. I know for the adult prizes, there are a few gift cards to some local restaurants. The teens have, they can win either a snack, an international snack bundle, or a gift card to Schuler's, and then we got a few smaller prizes for the kids. The theme is reading around the world, so that's matching the theme for it. And then also at the end of the month, I do have a meet and greet for myself. I haven't been able to reach out to the public, so I'm hoping to do that through this reception, and anyone's able to come. It's January 28th, 5 to 7, so just wanted to throw that out there, and hopefully people can come meet me, get to know me, and also I can meet the rest of the community, and I'm really excited to be doing that. So I printed off flyers, so anyone that's listening or watching at home, I guess too, we have it on our calendar too. So just wanted to bring you guys up to speed.
Thanks. Any questions or comments from the board? I really appreciate you being here tonight.
Thank you.
I don't see anybody else. Were we expecting anybody else, Karen?
We were not.
Great. We'll keep moving then. That brings us to item number 7, the consent agenda. First up is I guess the consent agenda as a whole, but minus H and I. So we have A through G and J through L of minutes. I see we still don't have housing commission minutes.
We do not. I believe that the deputy superintendent is planning to reach out and request those items from the board of the Housing Commission.
Is there anybody else we're way behind on that we're waiting on?
I don't believe so. There's not been a discussion, so I'm guessing not.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sorry, this is a consent agenda. There's not supposed to be any discussion. My bad. Would anyone like to take action on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
All right, motion by Ray to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
There's a second. We don't have discussion for the consent agenda. So we'll take a voice vote. All those in favor of approval of the consent agenda, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. I imagine those rec committee minutes will come back to us.
Yes, at the next meeting.
All right, that brings us to item 8, approval of minutes. We've got the minutes of the Board of Trustees meeting on December 2nd, and then the special meeting on December 26th. How would you all like to handle those?
Brenda, do you want us to approve them together or separately?
Oh, we can do them together.
Okay, I'll make the motion to accept the minutes of the Board of Trustee meeting for December 2nd and the special meeting for December 26th of 2024.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented from both meetings. Is there any discussion, questions, concerns? All right, hearing none, we'll take a voice vote on those two. All those in favor of approval of both of those sets of minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. That brings us to the approval of vouchers. Hopefully, we all stopped into the office and signed off on the vouchers tonight. Would anyone like to put forward a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers as submitted.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the vouchers as presented. Is there any discussion or questions on that? All right, seeing none, we'll take a roll call vote for that one.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Ms. Hagerman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Cocky?
Yes.
If I could.
You can.
Thank you. At future meetings, this board will see, as it has in the past, vouchers for both 2024 and then vouchers for 2025. We have traditionally taken those as a separate vote and those evenings, but just so you're aware, when you come in to sign in the future, most likely for the next month or two, you'll have both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's helpful context. They will be in separate folders too?
Correct. They will
Okay.
be separated by year.
So double the signatures.
Correct.
All right.
Thank you.
Item 10 is the treasurer's report. We don't have a treasurer's report, but ta-da, next
Yep.
meeting. You be ready for
21.
us? You got big good news?
We earned a lot of interest last year.
Yeah, that's what we want to hear.
If that's what you want to know,
That's
yes.
the teaser. Come for next meeting and hear about the interest. All right, well, we look forward to that, Jen.
Hope you guys
That
want it.
brings us to item 11, committee appointments. I have included in the packet a memo about proposed board member committee assignments. I took your requests. I also took specific needs of the committees, mixed things up a little, kept some things the same, tried to be supportive to what we need as a township. I did make one mistake, and I would ask your indulgence to make a change. I assigned our new guy too many committees, and I already apologized to him for that. What I'd like to do is replace Ray on the road committee with Sherry, because Sherry had too few committees. I know that probably doesn't break your heart to have too few committees, Sherry. But the goal here was for all of the trustees to have 3 committee meetings to be fair and spread the wealth of opportunity to all of us. So what I would ask for is a motion to approve the committee assignments as amended, if you are so inclined.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the proposed board member committee assignments functionally until November 20th, 2028. Is there any discussion, questions, comments?
Hey, how come Kate gets to be on Public Art Committee?
Very creative.
Not right now, there's not. Hopefully there will be.
Because Kate has, I think, the most busy committee assignment, which is the planning commission. So she also got assigned to the committee that is not
Alright,
currently
alright.
meeting.
I'll let that one slide then.
I've got a working memo coming to you, I hope at the next meeting, about some thoughts about committee studies and changes. So Art will be part of that since that has not met in quite a while.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
For me. I'm very disappointed, as are some seniors that I have talked with, that I'm no longer on their committee. It's taken me a couple of years to learn about it, and I asked to be assigned to that, and I'm very disappointed.
I'm sorry to hear that. I was trying to mix things up and give some other opportunities to other folks. So hopefully that won't be too much of a problem, but I appreciate your service there.
Can I double check here, just to be sure?
Yeah,
I am Park Lake Advisory Board.
Yes.
Zoning Board of Appeals and Senior Services, correct?
yes,
Okay. Just want to make sure I didn't
Proposed.
miss anything. And not Road Committee.
right. I was originally trying to give you the infrastructure committees because of your service on the planning
There goes our
commission.
first roundabout. I told you that, see?
You can deal with trustee Rosecrans on that issue. All right, we have a motion, we have a second, we've had some discussion, other discussion, questions? All right, hearing none, voice vote's okay for this, right? We'll take a voice vote. All those in favor of the proposed board member committee assignments as amended tonight, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. That leads us to the second item, committee staffing. This isn't something to vote on, but I think all the board members saw my email request to Karen while we were assigning board members to make sure we have a staff member assigned to each committee to staff the committee. I think every committee needs to be staffed. And secondarily, to have somebody sort of as a backup should that person be sick or on vacation, to make sure that the committees can run pretty efficiently. I think we all serve on the committees as liaisons to the committee from the board, but I also think there needs to be a liaison to the staff and the administration who's actually implementing some of the things and knows the rules, the processes that we don't necessarily know on a day-to-day basis. She agreed with that assessment, and her memo is included as well, the sort of primary and secondary person for each committee. Karen, do you want to say more about that? I didn't mean to steal your thunder there.
No, you were spot on. I would say the only major change would be the Park Lake Advisory Board. They're traditionally, in my time here at the township, there has not been a staff member to that committee. So that is new, and that will be the Director of Parks and Public Works, Ben Zeeb. In his absence, we talked a great deal about the Deputy Superintendent being in that position. It may also be a member of the DPW team that was more boots on the ground, that may have ideas about what is the work happening in that around the lake. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that, but we made accommodations to have a backup as you requested.
If you at some point identify a DPW member that will more permanently serve as backup, will you just let us know?
I will.
No need to formally, you could tell us in the superintendent's report. I almost
can
said
do that.
superintendent's corner.
Well, that's the name of the new newsletter, right there it is. Thank you.
Thank you for this. Any questions for the superintendent on this? All right.
I have a separate question though.
Oh, for committees?
For committees,
Yeah.
yeah. Thinking about the topic of reporting back and sharing information, would it be possible to add to our agenda a regular practice of us board liaisons sharing what's happened in those committees? For example, I know at the planning commission, things will come up and they'll ask me, what do you think the board would think about this? And it's certainly hard for me to speak on behalf of the board. So if we had a way where that could be part of the agenda, that we're all sharing out what's happened in the other meetings that we've attended, that might be helpful to keep us all in the loop, as well as all the people who watch these meetings, then they can stay better in the loop. Is that something that we could think about?
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you more about that. What we used to also do under the, thank you, Township Committee Reports, item 12, was we used to assign committees 1 or 2 days a year to come in and give sort of like a semi-annual update. I think the last board got away from that for whatever reason, But that could be another opportunity to have, it wouldn't be real up to date, right? It was be more macro because of the time frame. But committee chairs to come and report out too. So we could think about doing sort of a mix of those things.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that too. I don't want to put more work on the committee chairs to have to come to more meetings to report. But since we're already here, that could be.
Yeah, that's why we sort of spread it out, so it wasn't more than 2 or 3 times a year. Yeah, let's think about it. I think clearly, I think we've all heard the complaints about communication going one way and not the other way and getting lost in translation, so I think whatever we can do to improve that, I'll make a note about that.
Even quarterly would be an improvement.
How about as needed, as requested?
Well, as needed is quite often.
Yeah, well, request it, make it, put it on the agenda as needed.
Yeah.
Sorry. As needed, perhaps, and put it on the agenda, each person from each committee.
All right, I think that can be part of our sort of approach to how we deal with committees in the future. If you recall, part of the budget was to include hiring some external help to figure out, do we have the right committees, do we have the wrong committees, do we need to shuffle committees, merge committees, split committees? So you'll see a proposal on that soon. I think we could implement the communication piece prior to that, but it could be part of the whole approach. The superintendent and I have also talked about returning to committee training. We did that, 6 years now, 5 years ago?
Probably not since 2016.
Yeah, and
That's my
I
sense.
thought that went really, really well. We did some committee recognition at the end of the year too, which I thought was great. So trying to strengthen our committees, lift up our committees, thank our committees for their service and recognize them in a stronger way. So I think there's lots of work we can do here.
Agreed.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Is there any reason why we don't get rid of the Public Art Committee? Since it's been vacant for over, almost 2 years now, I think.
I don't know how to answer. I bet we all have our own reasons why we haven't brought that up to be dismissed yet. That's certainly something we could discuss. When Marie was still supervisor, we did bring that up at one point, but we decided to keep it.
Okay, I just want to emphasize that this has nothing to do with Kate Hagerman being on the Public Art.
Good.
But I see that every month and I'm thinking, why don't we just get rid of that? Because it needs 6 members, which means there aren't any.
Yeah, I have some ideas too that I'd like to shoot by you all too.
They have had enough to have a quorum.
Really?
They have a quorum.
I haven't seen a meeting held.
No, it's either people can't make it, and then they're, what I'm trying to say is they have enough members assigned to be a
okay.
quorum, but they don't generally obtain a quorum to hold a meeting.
Okay, I
So,
misunderstood you.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to clarify it. So, but they have had the members. I don't know if that's true as of the last couple of months, but prior in the year, they had enough to hold a meeting,
Well-
if everyone attended.
Yeah, I know at one time there was, quite a bit of interest in that, and that's why we have it. Seems like since Waticha left, that's,
Actually,
I didn't mean.
my observation,
Yeah.
no, I wasn't offended by that.
Yeah.
My observation, I attended it, was that after, Miss Eggleston, retired the art, her
Studio.
gallery
Yeah.
and studio is, and a lot of the original members of the group left. That's probably when the breakdown occurred.
Yeah, the only thing I remember is that those murals on the toilets over
And
at,
then they also did,
Wiswasser.
some banners that they hung up, on some of the poles
Yeah.
in the community, so they did some additional things, but I think the gallery and studio leaving was probably part of it, a major part of it.
Well, we never funded it. They never had
Correct.
any money
They
to
had to
do any
request
real
funds
thing.
when they had a project.
Which I think is a mistake.
sure.
And to be fair, I was on the board that approved that, so it was my mistake with my former colleagues, but I think that would have made a big difference too. All right, any other comments about committees? I feel good that there's some work for us to do here. All right, No committee reports. Item 13, unfinished business. We've just added A, items for introduction, discussion, small a, audio, visual issues.
A guilty person
Take
here
it away.
that doesn't speak into the mic, that I've heard complaints from lots of people out there that they can't hear us when we are live, and even problems out there with you guys. So I'm certainly guilty of that. And that there are blank spots, and this is, again, I haven't watched it on YouTube, but there's blank spots that occur occasionally in most meetings, and that the 26th meeting was not on at all. And as you said, it's not violating Open Meeting Act, but we have senior citizens that are at home, can't come, and they would go watch it, and they can't. So either we're not operating it right, or perhaps it's not operable, something's wrong. And I would like to have whoever addresses that look at it.
Did you see the email from Taylor today?
No.
That explained it.
Do you mind if is there any problem with me reading this?
No, I think it's perfect.
I think it's really helpful. It says, boardroom video equipment
Move closer to your
Apparently,
mic.
people can't hear you.
right now.
Right now.
Bring your mic down.
Bring your mic
I mean,
to,
I can hear me reverberating in the room.
Really?
Is that better?
Speak a little softer.
Is someone in the room can't hear me or on TV?
I'm unsure.
Consistently, and it's not just the people who are here, consistently, that is the comment that I can hear from the audience. So I'm trying to facilitate improved communication in the room by suggesting just a little closer to the
your
microphone,
mic.
especially given the topic.
Project.
Okay. This is boardroom video equipment, Board of Trustees. This is from Taylor, the Deputy Superintendent. I wanted to provide you with an update on the issues we've been experiencing with the video equipment in the boardroom. Initially, our video systems company, CTI, thought that an internet switch was failing, which provides internet connectivity to the system. Upon running testing, it was discovered that the switch itself was not the issue, but our actual internet and Wi-Fi system was the problem. The internet and Wi-Fi system has always been somewhat of an issue ever since we began live streaming in 2021, but the connection issues have become much more frequent over the last few months. When we began experiencing significant issues a few months ago, that aligned with the installation of the new security system. Ben Zeeb and I have both spent significant time speaking with both our video system company and our IT company and have discovered a couple of issues. First, the new security system was not on a static IP addresses, which means a specific IP address that is assigned to each piece of equipment. This was causing all of our available IP addresses to be constantly taken up, thus severely slowing down our internet speed. Each time a device joins our network, it is given an IP address that is assigned for the limited amount of time before releasing that IP address back to the network. Ben was able to get the security system on static IP addresses so that some of them would be freed up. This has already had a positive impact. The December 2 live stream had very little disruption, and all committee meetings were successfully recorded throughout December without connection issues. The issue is not completely resolved, as we desperately need our internet Wi-Fi system to be updated in the building in Township campus. We currently have a home-grade Wi-Fi system that cannot withstand the traffic it now experiences with upgraded equipment. I've initiated the replacement process with IT, but this will take some time to implement. IT is currently identifying the best equipment for our campus and creating a quote for review. We may still experience some small disruptions, but my hope is that with the changes we have been able to make, that it will be minimal until the internet Wi-Fi system is replaced. Please let me know if you have any questions or further clarification. So it sounds like the staff has heard that same complaint and has been trying to solve it. It sounds like there seems to be a solution in the works.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's a quote, Karen, that'll come to us? I don't think we budgeted for that, or?
No, if it exceeds the threshold that I'm allowed to approve, it will come to you.
But we didn't budget for it though, right?
We did not budget for it, so.
So there
it would
may be
also
a budget
related
adjustment at
budget
some point,
amendment.
okay.
Correct. It's very possible the IT budget that lives within the computer services department could absorb that, but yes, a budget amendment will be needed regardless.
It feels like it could be kind of costly, but that's not my
It will be.
area of specialty.
I used to work on that.
Yeah. So I bet we will end up seeing that adjustment.
Most likely.
Will you or Taylor keep us updated as that process goes along?
We
So
can, yes.
both the board and the community know that we're on it and working on it?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Thanks. Sherry, other questions about that? Did that help?
Just that we all need to watch each other, that we get close to the mic, including myself.
The other thing is that December 26 meeting is up now for
It
folks
is
that are wanting to watch it. I looked at it today. It had 66 views, which I thought was a lot of views, so people were able to see it. I think I would ask the public to remember that our staff was out on the holidays, and so it takes staff members to do the work to do that, and we have to trade off this issue of like quickly updating stuff and people being able to have the PTO that we've promised them. So I understand it got uploaded last week sometime?
I'm unsure of the timing of the upload, but I know it's there and it's been viewed 66 times, so.
Okay. So folks are looking for that, that's on the YouTube channel.
Correct.
There was as an aside, but a segue to this microphone thing, Miles brought up a device called the Owl that is used.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of that.
I
but,
asked Taylor
We
about
have.
it in an email yesterday,
Yeah.
actually.
Well, Miles seems to think that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Miles, but you had experience with it or been involved with using one and that it seemed to work very well.
Let's not, if you don't mind. That's not me discounting what you're saying.
no,
but
that's
what I wanna make sure we go through Taylor. Miles
Correct.
can give Taylor that information.
She's had it. I think when you discussed it with her via email.
Yeah, I just don't wanna put Miles on the
Sure.
spot to talk about this issue.
She's responded
That's
to
not
that,
his
and
responsibility.
I think, if we need to have the deputy superintendent come and answer questions, that's fine, we can do that at the next meeting. I think it is important to understand that that is not something that's been made to work with the system that we've implemented.
So you have
so-
a legacy system or something? Here?
I don't know what you mean by that,
old.
legacy system.
Old.
No, it's been purchased in the last year.
Okay.
So no, but some of the things that also occur, because I attend a lot of meetings via Zoom.
Right.
Is that if someone coughs, the owl generally likes to try to zoom in on what is occurring at that time. And
I've noticed
I
that,
fear
yeah.
because you all sit so very closely together, and this is not a professional opinion. I'm not a high-tech person and I'm not responsible for this equipment, but it would try to, zone in on the many of you, and I fear it would not work as effectively as we would want it to, and further complicate the issues that
That's-
we're already experiencing.
That's a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I had read some about it when Miles brought it up, and so it seems to be focused towards Zoom meetings to go, to various
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
people.
and I think it's great, probably when you have people in our conference room, as you've been in our conference room before, but, possibly not as much.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd noticed that a place like this had two of them, like one about right there and one about right there. And what they do is they focus on the person that's talking, in case you people don't know what they are. It's basically, looks like an owl, and it has a camera on it and a microphone. It points to the person.
I also
that's-
don't know with the amount of people that often speak in the audience, if it would try to catch them as well, so
Yeah.
I'm unsure.
Owls can turn their head 270 degrees, so I don't know. Really.
Well, I mean, I know you're joking about that, but the owls have multiple cameras. So like,
Yes.
even if someone coughs and someone's talking, the camera will go to the cough, but also still be on the person talking.
Okay.
So it doesn't actually shift from the person talking. They're
Okay.
actually pretty slick.
Well, they're pretty sophisticated, as I understand it, and what I've read. They're
Yeah, we use, in my office on a daily basis.
Oh,
And
okay.
they're, scarily good.
Well, I will leave that discussion
Yeah.
to you and the deputy superintendent then.
Well, I don't need to be involved in that. I just am a proponent of the owl if it will work with our system. I think it would also allow people watching to see us closer. When I rewatch some of the meetings or committee meetings, it's like, who's speaking right now? If I don't know their voice because it's so far away, that would help as well.
I would like to know as well is that when this system is not used correctly, the default moves to the Nest camera that is also in this room, and that is the backup to the high-tech system. So the issues that you may experience when you're trying to rewatch something, if it's taken video from the Nest, which happened on the 26th, because apparently I didn't push stop, even though I tried to push stop, the meeting recorded for 3 days. So that was in such a ginormous, if that's even a word, amount of file that it could not be downloaded to be edited, and therefore the deputy superintendent needed to utilize the footage from the Nest system. So I think that's where people are not able to probably hear as well as they would like to be able to hear. But that is the system that catches all of our committee meetings, because you, I think other than maybe Miles, don't use the professional system. And it's relying on the Nest to pick up that meeting.
Should we learn to use that?
No.
Okay.
Unfortunately, in the times that it's been utilized, there's a lot of room for error. Even myself, who I've been taught to push stop and start, clearly did not stop it, and it ran for 3 days. So even with the best of intentions and the best training, unfortunately, it's difficult.
Could the staff
Staff,
run it?
I'm saying I had difficulty running it. I mean, that's why Taylor's in charge of the live streaming and the utilization of the system. Miles, I hate to throw under the bus, sometimes he makes mistakes and we have to rely on the Nest footage as well. So it's not foolproof. It's finicky.
No systems are.
I mean, I think legal counsel watched me push stop, and unfortunately, it didn't stop. So,
Would you swear to that?
I would. Actually, odd as it is, that's one of those things I've learned to pay attention to when attending public meetings, so,
It's a good thing to
yes.
pay attention to.
Yes.
It just seems like if we're gonna spend a bunch of money to upgrade the system, using it for multiple meetings rather than just 2 a month might be a better investment. Knowing that people, what I think the Facebook chatter doesn't understand is these are humans who make human mistakes, who things can get complex and confusing. There's no sort of like conspiracy here to hide meetings from anybody.
And I
That's not
understand
what's
that.
happening. But if we could make more available, I think it is a win for everybody.
I think the other challenge is that we've experienced in the past is that dependent on what the resident is using at home to view the meeting, whether it's a tablet or a computer or a phone, may impact the quality of what they're hearing as well. So the frustration is mainly placed on us, but sometimes is the equipment being used to listen as well.
Yep, their bandwidth, their speed, all of that makes a difference.
Internet, yep, all of it.
And I'm not pounding on the owl or anything, but that's specifically what it was made to defeat, And this, when I say legacy, that's an old style where it takes a picture of all of us. And so you actually, when you're watching online, you actually, like Ryan said, you have to know the person's voice or specifically see the person that's talking and then try to key on them, and that's not always good. And whereas the owl goes to the specific person that's talking and making a point and focuses right on them and catches their sound more clearly.
I would like to correct myself. The deputy superintendent has communicated with me, and I'll read from her text. Most committees do use the professional system, so I apologize for the incorrect information. There's just human error, sometimes that people forget to hit record, or there is a connection issue that causes it not to record. So my apologies for.
Could there be a default setting on those to schedule them for meetings?
I can't answer that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, that may be a way to.
She's listening to you, so I'm
Well,
sure
I
she
know
wrote
she
that
is,
down.
that's why she.
I'm sure it got written down.
Start the thing recording at 5:55, every first.
Teach one person in each committee to,
Yeah, I think there
That's
should be.
more
I will
technique.
say, Sherry, we did, when we first implemented recording, which was like 2013.
2012. I was here in February.
We
when
had
we
a system
implemented
and
it.
someone was assigned a committee member to run it, and it did not work well.
No.
We also used
As
to
the
have.
person who was trained for the rec committee, I gotta switch this, and, I'm talking in the meeting, and I'm like, well, crap, I didn't press the right button here.
That was you.
Yeah, it was me. I was one of those people making human errors, but it felt like a lot of the committees were doing that. It was hard to sort of like self-do it.
Well, we also had a system where on board meeting evenings, we would have somebody that actually sat in the closet, the IT closet, and took the different camera angles, which was expensive and complicated as well. So
difficult.
we've been through, since 2012, a lot.
Metamorphosis.
I think COVID taught us we could live stream. And that's come with its own frustrations, so.
I was telling Sherry this weekend, because we were talking about this issue, that we're sort of on the forefront of this. I think we were one of the earliest communities, at least of our size, to try to pull this off back in 2012, 2013. And you know, our county government doesn't even do this, doesn't live stream, doesn't record, doesn't post meetings. You have to physically trek up to St. John's to watch them. So that's not a way of saying we don't have our problems, but we're still way ahead of some other communities, at least in transparency and trying to make it work. We just need to keep upgrading with our
Technology.
evolution, and technology.
Technological evolution. There you go.
Thank you. Any other comments about audio-visual stuff? It was a good conversation, Sherry. Thanks for adding it.
Welcome.
All right, we'll keep trucking then. No items for action. That leads us to item 14, new business. Items for introduction and discussion. First up is a zoning ordinance, amendment 31.89, fee schedule, and we have our planner to address that.
All right. So yeah, we looked at the fee schedule for this first one. Really, there's a two-pronged emphasis for why we wanted to make these amendments. Brought it to the planning commission chair, we discussed it, he was fine with us going ahead and taking that to the full commission itself. Kind of, the first thing we were experiencing is the township's growing. I think everyone's probably noticed the township's growing. A lot of people don't realize, I think in the general public maybe, how much of the southern part of Bath Township is Bath Township, but it turns out it in fact is, and we do in fact have jurisdiction over it and regulatory authority. We've seen some larger developments be entertained in the township, even some of those come to market. And with that comes more complex and more costly agency reviews. With inflation, one thing that's gotten very expensive is professional services. I don't know if anyone's engaged in legal services privately or engineering services, but I don't know if anyone's engaged in those services, but they're costly, and those costs have been passed on to the township via the agency reviews we've received. Typically, those are paid out via escrow accounts we set up with the various developers. We've been seeing those escrow accounts be depleted at growing rates. So we would like to try something new. The planning commission is obviously in support of this. This is why it's in front of you tonight, which is initiating the minimum escrow deposit of $2,000, which is where it's at today. That's what we take in upon the initial application from a commercial development. But we are proposing to remove the cap of the escrow and being able to take in as much funds as it takes to complete the review of the development. Now, in addition to that, as a condition of the special use permit, the reason we're amending not just the fee schedule itself, but the ordinance is the planning commission under certain circumstances, which I'll read them here. So there's some qualifiers, which would be that the development site itself exceeds 5 acres, or the proposed structure exceeds 20,000 square feet, and those were chosen very intentionally, those words were chosen intentionally. That cues up the planning commission to have discretion as a part of their site plan review process to recommend to this body, when the SUP eventually comes to you, additional escrow above. So let's say it's quite a large development. We anticipate that there's going to be even more review necessary from professional services, i.e. the township engineer, legal counsel during the construction review phase, which is the phase that the elected body doesn't typically see. You guys see the zoning review phase. Once it gets out of zoning review, by no means is it like, okay, we're good to build now. There's a whole nother phase of review that you don't see called construction review, where we're still using our engineer and legal counsel to set up agreements, and we're still drawing from that initial escrow account. If it's a large development, it would be behoove the township to take in, like what you're saying is hypothetical, 20,000 escrow, large deposit of 20,000 to facilitate those services through that. So that's the impetus, that's what's going on. I will note that there was one grammar error on, it'd be page 58 of your packet. You're just missing the word planning commission has, you're missing the word has, the right. So, my bad.
58.
So that is impetus number one. Now I'll try to talk about the second. If the board remembers a while ago, we passed an ordinance that, or the board passed an ordinance or adopted an ordinance that allows for the regulation of commercial clear cutting. So that's if a commercial entity wants to.
I'm sorry, Mal, is this B?
Where are we at?
Are you moving on to the next?
I'm on the fee schedule still.
Right here.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm on the fee
Adding
schedule.
it.
So,
If I could.
Oh, as part of that, okay,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I
exactly.
didn't mean to interrupt you, I was confused there.
Right on cue, our microphone died. So you will, unfortunately, the public probably will not be able to hear the planner or anyone that speaks at the podium. So my apologies, but we'll fix that for the future, but
okay.
thank you for your understanding.
I'll do my best to speak loudly. So, if the board recalls, a while ago, a couple months ago, the board adopted a clear cutting ordinance, that's the one that regulates if a commercial entity wants to come in and clear cut more than half an acre of land. Now, once ordinance has been adopted by the municipality, it's on staff to figure out a way to implement said ordinance. So we've created a permit structure, that way we're regulating this ordinance that's been passed. Of course, permitting and ordinance enforcement comes with its own set of costs. To cover those costs, we've introduced the commercial clear cutting application fee, which we've set at $250. So those were the two reasons for the changes that are before you today.
Thank you, sorry for the interruption.
No, you're great.
Questions, comments, this is just up for discussion. I imagine you'll want to bring it for action at the next meeting?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so this is a good time to give some feedback if we have concerns or want to see something different.
I had a question. Who would make the determination to raise the amount of escrow required?
It would be the planning commission collectively, and it would be a recommendation to this body. So let's say that they recommend $20,000, do you don't feel like that's permit, or, the word that legal counsel likes to use a lot, which is within the nexus of what's reasonable with that development, you could always say, hey, 20,000, great, we hear you, but we're gonna go down to 18. Or 20,000, we hear you, superintendent, what do you think? Oh, in my experience, actually it'd be closer to 30,000. Okay, we're gonna take it up 10,000.
Yeah, I just wondered, if there's gonna be some parameters that you can go by, that's.
Well, there's those
hopefully.
qualifying factors, so the planning commission can't just willy-nilly say every development that comes through, initial, another 10,000.
Yeah.
But other than that, they would have to stay, again, my recommendation as the staff to the planning commission would always be within the nexus of reality. We're not gonna say, okay, you're trying to build a pole barn, escrow of 60 grand.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it above board.
Thank you. No, I was on the planning commission, and I can't remember us talking about actually who would set that increase, or decrease, or.
Yeah, recommendation from the planning commission.
Discretionary.
I think actually, correct me if I'm wrong, it was really Jason that, the planning commissioner, Almarigi.
Yeah.
That felt like he wanted the planning commission to bring that recommendation to the board.
Right.
Because he wanted to keep it apolitical. He felt like if it gets to the board and no recommendation has been made, it could be viewed as a political, football.
Good point.
So to speak.
Thank you.
Your planner is correct, Mr. Supervisor, that the Zoning Enabling Act authorizes the legislative body, which is you, to set those reasonable fees. So when we talk about reasonable, it's the nexus concept. Your planner is exactly on point. The Nolan and Dolan cases tell us how to do all of that. It's a ton of fun. And so I just remind folks that that's where the authority vested with you. I do have a question, if that's okay. I didn't have a chance to speak to the planner in advance. Is the fee schedule being presented to the board for approval as part of the ordinance amendment, or are those going to be presented as separate action items when they return?
I think they're under one item on their agenda, but it would probably be best to take a vote of both.
But that's why I was, for clarification purposes, it's the ordinance amendment that we need your vote on first, one way up or down, when you get to that point at your next meeting. And then the fee schedule is simply the action to, you are updating your fee schedule, which is not the ordinance. I don't want people to be confused that the fee schedule is within the zoning ordinance.
Thank you, I had that same question.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
So 2 actions next time?
Yep, there are two things that are related, so I could see why they put on the agenda for introduction together.
Or maybe we do 1 next time, and then for the second reading, we change the fee schedule?
Whatever your preference is, I think it probably just for the first and second reading, keep it the same way on the agenda is probably the most transparent.
Right, but we wouldn't vote on the fee schedule twice. We should probably not vote on the fee schedule until the ordinance has been fully accepted.
Sure.
Is that
So
fair?
you're not looking for action tonight?
No.
No,
No.
just introduction to the concept. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
That brings us to item 2, or I guess
B.
14. 2025 is the year of glasses for Supervisor Funes Bliss. Yeah, 14AB. Ordinance amendment number 45.01, land division by our planner as well.
Yeah, and the assessor's here with me as well because she had an equal hand in writing and formatting this. So this really comes out of more of a staff-driven ordinance amendment. We're always trying to update our ordinances. I obviously talked to everybody else about the zoning ordinance, which we're constantly amending. There's these other areas within our code of ordinance that don't get nearly as much attention. And sometimes the practice that staff will implement to implement said ordinances, falls out of line, or industry standard becomes one thing, and what our ordinance says becomes something different. And it's always good to update sections of our ordinance to match what the industry standard is. I think specifically in this one, it had some language around like a sketch or a drawing that should be submitted, and these days, with technology and how surveying has come along, we've taken a certified survey when we're taking in a land division application. We just wanted that to be reflected in the ordinance, really so the public knows what to expect, and so everyone's just basically on the same page, that I don't know.
Well, I mean, we actually did that change a while ago, like in 2007, so maybe we probably should have updated it a while ago. Our application stated that, but what we did was we kind of mirrored what our newer application did, and we've updated our application several times throughout the year and haven't updated the ordinance. So that's all we did, was we really kind of mirrored them so that they are reflecting what the Land Division Act says and some changes that had taken place in our applications, but not in the actual ordinance.
And I assume this has been through legal review?
I don't think we did.
I don't think so.
No, I mean, that's
I mean,
kind of
the application, I guess, had been, when we changed the application, I think it was with Ross, 2019, the last time we updated it, when they made changes to the Land Division Act. So the application had been, and then we just put that language within that, but I don't believe it went back over to legal counsel.
No, I mean, that's our land division coordinator. He's, I would say, even statewide, a pretty good subject matter expert on how these things are administrated. Obviously, if legal finds anything, we have time between our first and second reading to provide this body feedback.
Well, they're not gonna review it for free, frankly. Karen, what's your pleasure on that? I'll take the lead from you.
I can speak to staff, but if Ross Mr. Bauer had a hand in it previously, and there weren't additional changes, we can trust what he gave us the first time around and not have it reviewed. If in that conversation we discover there's additional, we can certainly go back to Mr. Bauer.
Okay, and he's an attorney.
He's
one
an
of my
attorney
partners.
with
Yeah.
Fahey Schultz,
I
yes.
just want folks to know that.
Yes, he's traditionally the counsel that assists the assessor with her actions in front of the state.
All right. That sounds okay to me. You folks feel okay sufficiently? Okay. Anything else to present to us? Any questions from the team? It seems pretty straightforward.
Thanks for your work.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you both. That brings us to 14 large B items for action. The first item, the only item, small A, senior center parking study. And I am tasked with this. After our last meeting, the chair of the planning commission approached me and said that he felt that the request for the parking study for perhaps an expanded or new senior center should be referred to the planning commission for review, since it is about planning and development, and they're supposed to be reviewing all of those things, even when it is township property and township buildings. That seemed like a reasonable request to me, and so I've got it on the agenda as an item for action. We would ask them to review it and recommend to us whether that should move forward or not move forward based on their sort of planning filters, I guess, that they use as they think through it. Kate, you're the planning commission staff or the board liaison. Do you have any thoughts about that?
I think that seems like the appropriate place to start.
Okay. Other thoughts about that, concerns about that?
There was some money for the senior center, some kind of a study or something, wasn't it done? I mean,
Last
paid
year.
for? Yeah. I mean, in that same, I mean, this would be kind of a segue, wouldn't it, for that?
Maybe.
guess
I
you
mean, that's
gotta
what the
have-
planning commission, I think, would
Yeah.
try to figure out.
Well, I'll attend that meeting so that I can understand it more. I'm just trying to get some of the mental parameters, if you
Yeah.
will. Thank you.
If we are, oh, I'm sorry, Al.
How quick would they be able to get back with us? There is a deadline, basically, with them coming out here to look at our kitchen. The people that gave us some money before.
You're talking about a grant?
That's
Yes.
April 1st, right?
April 1, Judy?
Yeah, and I'm just wondering how quick they could get back to us so that we could decide whether we're going to give them the $750.
If I may. In order to apply for a grant, that request would have to come before this body, so, I think if those two items traveled together through to this body, I think that would be appropriate timing.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know some of you are in the audience from the senior center, or senior services advisory board. It'd be helpful to understand what you think you want to apply for. Knowing the community foundations grants, they are not big enough for a expansion to a senior center. So if you're thinking of taking that in phases or what that might be, will be helpful for us to understand too.
When does,
We can talk after.
I just wonder, when does the planning commission meet again?
They meet the week after us. so
Yeah.
Oh, right, the
Tuesday.
off
Next
weeks of
Tuesday.
us, yeah.
Yeah, next Tuesday.
Next
It would be
Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
Beg your pardon?
Next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Miles, do you think we could get that on the agenda next Tuesday, or is it pretty
Week
jam-packed?
from tomorrow at 6 PM.
Yeah, I mean, we can, whatever this board's pleasure is, we'll do it. Even if that means moving stuff around, you guys get to set it.
Yeah, I just don't want to push off folks that have been waiting for their movement of their projects.
We got 2 developments in the queue this coming month, election of officers, reviewing our work schedule. The beginning of the year is a busy time for planning, but we typically have long meetings, so
All right. So if someone wants to make a motion, we could recommend that it's on the January 14th
14th.
I'll make that
agenda?
motion.
That's what my brain says, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Al.
I'll make that motion.
Someone better check the date, though. Is
Yeah.
it the 14th? Okay.
It's the 14th, next Tuesday.
All right, we have a motion by Al, a second by Ray to recommend, well, I guess, send the topic of the senior center parking study to the planning commission, who then can recommend action to us should they see fit, and for it to be on the next agenda on January 14th. Does
On
that
their
summarize?
agenda, on their
On their agenda on January 14th. Fair?
can I say something real quick about our agenda then real quick, just so the public's aware?
Sure.
We're going to,
There's no microphone
You
up
might
there.
It can be louder.
just so everyone watching or everyone in the audience is aware, we're going to be doing a development review that the township engineer is coming. We expect that conversation to last anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. So we'll be taking that item after that. So if you're coming, anticipating, to talk about that right at 6, we won't get to it until about 7:30, so just know that.
Okay.
Thanks, Miles.
No, you can have it.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there other discussion, concerns with that? All right, voice vote okay on this? All right, we'll take a voice vote. All those in favor of referring the senior center parking study topic to the planning commission for recommendation or non-recommendation to us, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, great. That's the end of our business today, folks. I'll turn it over to the superintendent to tell us what's happening on her side.
Thank you. As the planner noted correctly as well, it's a busy time for the staff at the end of the year and the beginning of the new year. This staff will be bringing a great deal to you in the coming months, along with the regular business that you'll have before you. We are looking at bylaw amendments to the Southern Clinton County Utility Municipal Authority, also known as SCUMA. And those will be coming before you. Legal counsel is currently reviewing them and working with the SCUMA attorney to make sure that we have a full understanding of the changes that are being recommended. That will be adopted or referred to you, for your adoption or non-adoption, and then will move its way to all the other communities that are part of that authority. And then our board at SCUMA will vote on that as well. So very critical work that has not been done in quite a long time, but the change in the different communities and the economy and the makeup of all the different parties has necessitated us taking a look at those bylaws and making sure they're current and up to date. In addition, American Tower, who has a cell tower on our property, our lease with them is going to expire, and we will be negotiating a new lease that will come to you as well. And we have several other items to be worked through that will come to you as well. So busy time of year. The deadline to apply for the police chief position is Friday at the end of the day. We have 3 external candidates at this time. And I anticipate that as we move closer to Friday, additional external and internal ones will flow through to my office. So if you have any questions.
Do we only, I assume you advertise in some professional journal or something?
We did in several, yes.
Yeah. Do you only do that within the state, or you do that nationwide, or what?
Within the state, it was the Chiefs of Police Association was utilized, as well as another association for law enforcement. So predominantly law enforcement. I can say that no external out of the state applications have been received, but those that are with us obviously are from varying locations around the state. So it could be a relocation for someone if they are chosen as the
Do we pay
candidate.
for relocation?
We have, I think that we paid for the relocation of our superintendent once upon a time. Former Superintendent Wachicha. No, not mine. I already lived here.
Did we hear interviews? Is that planning? Are we going to hear them interview, and who all is invited to those interviews?
That has not been finalized at this time. They will be open to the public, and they will most likely be scheduled for the month of January. It is my hope that if we are asking board members or committee members from Police and Fire Board to join us, that it's probably going to be more convenient for everyone if they're all hosted on a particular afternoon or over a short period of time, an afternoon and a morning, to accommodate the candidates, but also the people that are sitting on the board, of the hiring board.
And who's the hiring board? I've been asked that by people, and I have no idea.
I have not finalized that as well. I have kicked around having the supervisor join me. I've not asked him formally. I've also considered asking a trustee, potentially the fire chief, or potentially people that have served as a police chief or work with our community very closely from other communities. So it's not.
So that's open.
We're not yet. Yep, it's
Okay,
not been
I had
finalized.
no idea, so, okay, thanks.
So if board members had thoughts, would you be open to us sending them to you on what the hiring board could look like?
I would, yeah.
Our hiring team? Feels very formal to call it a
Yeah,
board.
sorry, I didn't know what else to refer to it as.
Yeah.
Hiring committee.
There you go, yeah.
I was interested just because I think I remember telling you I was a headhunter for about 25 years, and just wanted to know what your process is and stuff. So I've relocated people from all over the world. I just wondered if we do relocate someone, usually there's a cap somewhere, so, and it gets pretty expensive.
In my time, I've seen it done once, but not.
Here, yeah.
Yeah, once here.
I think we gotta be open to do whatever we can do to get the best person.
I would agree.
Yeah.
with some sort of cap should that be needed.
Gotta be some caps somewhere, though.
Yes.
So yes, if you have thoughts, you want to volunteer, or other thoughts that you may have on the process, please forward those to me.
If you want help, I'd be more than happy to volunteer.
I appreciate your
Yeah.
offer. Thank you. Any additional questions about, not to skip around, we have scheduled the financials with our accounting team to come in and do the year-end financials. We will begin some of that work this week, at the end of the week, when our accountant is in. And then we have scheduled the audit with the auditing firm. That is the time that they will come in and sit with staff and request records and go through our finances for the independent audit. Time yet to be determined, usually after the audit is completed, to come and present those findings here to you as we do each year. That'll take place in April, so it's possible that in May or June, after the audit report is finalized, that they would come here and present the findings to you and the community.
It'd be nice to get them in sooner than we were able to this past year.
I would agree. I think there was some illness and some
Yeah,
some
it
differing
wasn't
factors.
all our fault by
No,
any means.
but,
It's just helpful to
I agree.
know what the situation is as soon as
Sooner
possible.
sooner than later, I would agree. Additional questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the time in our meeting for the second public statements. If you're here live in the audience and you'd like to speak to any issue, you have up to 3 minutes to speak on that issue. Help yourself up to the lectern, introduce yourself if you'd like, and let her roll. All right, I see no one skedaddling up there, so we'll move on. That brings us to board member comments. Sherry, you want to start us off?
I have nothing to add.
Ray?
I would like to add something to the next agenda, if we could, under unfinished business. Way unfinished business. And I'm sorry I waited so long to do this, but I'd like to see some action on the Park Lake Trail. And in that it's the beginning of the year, we have at least 3 eligibilities for Park Lake Trust Fund grants with sufficient matching funds to seriously be in the running for those. If you're gonna do a park, upgrade a park or whatever, the limit is $300,000 for the grant. Matching funds are 25%. And I have compiled figures over the last 10 years of what I think that we've already committed to that proposed entity, if you will, which is substantial, over almost $200,000 we have in matching funds. And then there's the possibility of the North Park Lake Trail, like pathway, if we will, from the beach to Wiswasser. Karen has been very diligent in, eyeing properties and picking them up that would make that trail possible. And we have those matching funds that are, more than sufficient to get $300,000 to put into that. And I want to emphasize that the limit is $300,000, so even if that project cost, $4 million, it would still be worthwhile for us to put in phase 1 or something of that nature, possibly the bathrooms at the beach. And I emphasize bathrooms, not outhouses. And also the parking lot at Wiswasser would be another one that would fall under the parks improvement for recreation grants. But, it's imperative because they're due also on April 1st. And it required a 5-year Parks and Rec plan, which we had paid dearly to get done by Williams and Works, and also the non-motorized plan. So I think we're ready. All we need to do is go forward with the initiative of possibly hiring someone to advise us on what grants we should go for and get them going. We have money sitting out there waiting, and we could do the improvements that we hesitate on spending that we don't have to spend.
Just to specify, you want the topic to be the trail or the topic to be the grants?
I want the topic to include the trail, because that, of course, is the decades-old subject, if you will, that's been tossed around. And this committee, before I was on it, was at a nexus, if you will. I'll use that that word again tonight, and haven't made any decisions. And I did a presentation, as you recall, in January, I believe, and so did Ben. And I brought up some legal quandaries that could probably get an answer from our legal department.
Do you have that down?
It is unclear to me, if you're seeking action on the trail itself, are you looking to have a discussion, or are you looking for a vote?
Well, I think we've had way much discussion on it. So I don't think it would be, well, you know, certainly to refresh people's minds and everything in regards to costs, in regards to allocations of funds for CIPs, that, you know, to refresh people's memories, but I think some decisions need to be made. Action needs to be taken.
Okay.
Did I say that clear enough, or was that prattling too much? Sorry.
I mean, it feels like you're sort of hedging some bets there, but I think we got it.
Well, I don't, you know.
No, I hear what you're saying.
All right.
Karen, could Ben come next week or next month?
I will request that.
Thank you.
On the 21st.
Next meeting.
Yes.
And then we should probably include the recommendation from the Park Lake Advisory Board, as I would assume that's the action you'd be looking for.
Yes.
If not, you can create some materials that Karen can include.
Well, and that was, I'd like to get with Karen to see what she would like, you know, in regards to informational data, you know, research data.
I think I'll speak with the Director of Public Works and Parks,
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Zeeb, and then have him circle back to you.
Sure, I handed him a lot of stuff last year, but I can't remember what it
Okay.
was without looking at his file, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to hand over all the stuff I have.
Okay, if you haven't already.
Yes.
I've also been the recipient of a lot of your
Yep.
material, so thank you for that. So, yes, I
But
think
the
I'm-
least we'd have that Park Lake Advisory Board recommendation.
Yes,
Yeah, and
Great.
incidentally, Dan Hayes did ask that he be included in that meeting, so maybe we can get him here next meeting. And also, the segue to that is the Oak Island easement, if you will.
Yeah, you and I have been talking about that.
Right, and that I've gotten a firm contact.
Oh, good.
Because they had a big shakeup, Karen, I don't know if you know this, but they let someone go that was in charge of Michigan.
Okay.
All of Michigan, and now they have someone new. And so that person is who we're gonna be talking to.
Can
she
you and I
was-
connect on that then?
Yes,
Okay.
and I'll give you that number, and she has asked that we set up a meeting as soon as possible, right after the first of the year, to talk about it, because she said she could assure us that her organization, Sun Communities, that owns Oak Island, would be very interested in that.
That's great, because that was tasked to me and we couldn't find the right person,
Yeah,
so that'll
yeah.
be helpful.
Yep.
So I'll make sure I follow
got
through
that.
with that. Will you tell, as the new connection, there's a new liaison to Park Lake Advisory Board, Dan Hayes, that we're
Yes.
doing this and invite him?
Yes, in fact, I've spoken with him already.
We've not been great about letting him know early enough that it's going to be on the agenda, so
Yes.
if you are not able to do that, let me know and I will, because
I
I've
can.
made a promise to him that we will do better.
I drive by his house every day, so I'll make sure to either stop.
Just shout
or
it if
leave.
you're driving by. Okay, great. Anything else, Trey?
No, that's it, and I wanna emphasize that, yes, I've been a squeaky wheel on the Park Lake Trail for decades, but, I should say we have. And I wanna emphasize that I'm not just advocating for that, for the DNR Trust Fund grants, because we got a lot of stuff we could do, like the improvement at the Wiswasser parking lot, and the beach, and all of that we have eligibility for, so. We have money out there just waiting for us to accept it, is what I'm trying to say.
Thank you. Jen?
It was brought to my attention today that there have been questions asked about already making donations for the summer festival, and if they're tax deductible or not. I had a meeting with Karen this afternoon, and she said that they have a form that, basically they can write it off on their taxes. There is a form, Beth, that we can give these people, okay?
If I could speak on that. As you guys may or may not know, I'm affiliated with a 501c3, Friends of Park Lake, that has an annual festival, if you will. We call it the Summer Solstice Festival. And we are, like I say, a 501c3, and we can give donation certificates to people that want to donate. So if this entity wants to partner with us, we'd be more than happy to extend that service to those donators. Is that how you say it, donators?
Donors.
Donors, there you go. I always think of that as blood, see, so I don't use that word.
Okay, we don't want that at the
No.
township. Anything else?
Nope, that was it.
All right, I'll just say again, Happy New Year. It's great to see you all again, and it feels like a fresh approach, a new term for us. I know we've got lots of ideas. I've talked to lots of you about what you're thinking. So you should expect some proposals from me in the next few meetings about how we get started on the things that we want to do together. And I'm excited about it. Thanks.
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything.
I'm all set.
Great.
Happy New
I
Year.
think I talked just about for everybody, didn't I? Sorry about that.
No comment.
Yeah, thank you.
That leads us to adjournment. Does someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second
We
it.
have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you.
Look at that, look at that time.
We are nothing if not efficient
Exactly.
tonight.
Emphasize the word nothing.
Does it remind you?